Right then guys, let's talk restoring classic cars and let's talk making money doing it.
Are you listening? Damn.
Right then guys, let's get into it. In this video I'm going to be showing you how you can make your classic car restoration hobby profitable. We're going to look at the cost of classic car restoration, the potential hidden costs involved, and I'm also going to show you how the standard of restoration can dramatically affect the finished vehicle price. Now then, how do we assess the price of a vehicle fairly? What we're going to do is we're going to use an online, up-to-date as of December 2018 price guide that will list the vehicle's condition and value in good, excellent and concourse. And also, to make the video easier to follow, I'm going to split the main three types of restoration into three simple categories. Let's go and have a little look what those categories are. Categories. What is a category 1? A category 1 is your home restorer, the sort of guy or girl who will undertake all aspects of restoration. They'll rebuild an engine, they'll rebuild a gearbox, they'll do suspension, they'll do wiring, they'll do cutting, they'll do grinding, they'll do everything, and most importantly they will do their own paintwork. We'll go into how the paintwork and the standard of paintwork can greatly affect the restoration finish cost later on. Now then, a category 2. Category 2 is also your home restorer who will do again your engine rebuild, your gearbox rebuild, your suspension, your cutting, your welding, your grinding, but most importantly they will not do the paintwork. All the hand finishing, the priming, the final painting of the car is done by professionals, which we'll look into and can be very expensive towards the end. Now the category 3 is the petrol head who, without being rude, doesn't know his spanner from his hammer. There's nothing wrong with this, everyone has different skills in life, but at the same time he wants a car that he can call his own. So a category 3 is a vehicle that is restored by professionals for a person that can call it their own at the end. And we'll also look into what type of vehicle you need to choose going forward to make a category 3 financially viable, because that is a very difficult prospect. Right, let's look at which vehicles we've chosen. Now also, side note, when we get to the end I'll give you other examples of category 1, 2 and potentially category 3 vehicles that would also suit the category to give you an idea. Now then, for a category 1 we've chosen an Austin Mini 1275 GT, and also for category 2 we've chosen a Mark 1 Sunbeam Tiger, and for category 3 we've chosen the iconic Series 1 drop head coupe E-Type Jaguar. Very, very nice vehicle. Now then, the category 1 and 2 vehicles, the Mini and the Tiger, are cars that I've had involvement over the years with restoring. I didn't just want to choose something that I had no knowledge in and no experience of. So let's go and look at category 1 and go through the values and the parts, and we'll go from there. Then, generally, as a rule of thumb, to make a category 1 financially viable, you want the finished value of the vehicle between 10 and 15 grand, because any less and it's very hard to make it work financially. Now then, a Mini 1275 GT. You can pick up, I'm sure this is where it's going to get very political, you can get a project between 2 and 5 grand. Now obviously a 2 grand car is going to need a lot more work than a 5 grand car, and a 5 grand car is going to be, you hope, a better vehicle but still in need of restoration. So this is where you need to be a little bit savvy when you go shopping. Now then, finished values. A good 1275 GT as per price guide 8,400, and an excellent car 11,200. Now then, we're going to break down the cost of the restoration into categories: engine and box, running gear, interior, bodywork, paintwork, Brightwork, everything. And all of these prices I've sourced individually, including VAT, up to date as of now, April 2019, and they're all genuine prices, and it is what it is. Now when we get to the end, we're going to total everything up, and then we're going to add on 20% because you always go over. This is a general rule, every car is different. A lesser car will need all of these bits and some more, and then a better car won't need as many. So you add on your 20% because you always go over, and hopefully as a rule of thumb we'll get ourselves a number at the end, and it'll be less than the finished value of the vehicle. Let's first of all go through the paint. I went to a good friend of mine who's got 15 plus years experience in the game of bodywork, and I said, if you're restoring that Mini and you're painting it at home in your garage, bear in mind this is a home restoration, this is sheeting the walls, vacuuming the floor, wetting it down and making it as contaminant and dirt free as you possibly can. And I know everyone's going to finish the car to a different standard, but again, this is where it dictates the final finished value of the car. I said, if you got to supply your filler, your seam sealer, your primer, your paint, your top coat, everything, how much will it cost you? And he said roughly 500 quid. So we got £500 for paint. Engine and box. Now, I know this is a general one, but I'm going to bank on the fact that you'd be able to get that engine running with a little bit of maintenance and a little bit of work, and it's probably going to be a bit smoky and it may crunch into second gear like some mini gearboxes do. So for the engine and box, we have a carb service kit, a head gasket plus seals plus other gaskets, a full gasket set for the engine, an exhaust, gearbox gasket, some oil points condenser, paint, plugs, coil, leads, clutch, and on and on, and that comes to £320. Now that's me banking on you having good compression and maybe needing a top end rebuild, a few leaky gaskets, a bit of a full service, and obviously your exhaust and things like that. That will get you running £320. Bodywork, the Mini's Achilles heel, the weak point. Now I've included a lot of panels, but luckily for a Mini they are quite cheap. We got 2 wings, 2 A panels, a front floor, a rear valance, a door step side, wing repair sections, majority of the panels that you'll need on a Mini. Now remember guys, if it's a £5 car it won't need half of these panels, and you might be making patch repair sections. Also for the doors, because it's a category 1, you want to keep the cost down. I'd expect you to go maybe to a show and pick up some good second-hand doors, or have a look online on eBay. And for the panels, I've budgeted £800. Interior. Now, we're not going to go down the full Newton commercial re-trimming route on this one. You're going to be on the lookout for a good second-hand, nicely worn interior. Maybe buy yourself a new carpet set and a few bits and bobs like that, and I have budgeted £350. Now then, wheels, tyres and Brightwork. I'm banking on you storing your own wheels on the vehicle. I've budgeted for a new set of tyres and also some Brightwork. Bumpers, grills, you know, light surrounds, things like that are very cheap and very reasonable on a Mini, and for that I budgeted £400. Right, running gear. Luckily the Mini was quite basic in design, but nevertheless it will need restoring. Front subframes generally covered in oil due to a leaky engine and box, so they're alright. Rear subframe will need some work, so you may need to source a second hand one. For the front subframe we have ball joints, shocks, top arm kits, polybush kit, knuckles and so on. For the rear subframe we've got radius arm kits, and then for the brakes we've got discs, pads, shoes, bearings, cylinders, a servo repair kit and various rebuild kits for all the hydraulics. Just touching on the brakes, to keep the cost down you won't buy a brake pipe kit, but you go out and buy a reel of brake pipe and some fittings, and you'd invest more time and less money making your own, and that comes to £400. If we add all of that together we get £2,770. Now if we add on our 20% going over, which we're always going to, we get to £3,324. Now that's for a lot of stuff. If you buy a £5 car it might only need half of this stuff, but let's say you went for a £2 to £3 car, call it a £3 car, and you put all of these bits in and you're at £3,324 plus your purchase price of £3, that puts you at £6,324. Now then, this is the clincher. Good and excellent. Excellent is a nice paint job. There may be slight flaws. It's not concourse, it's not incredible, but it's very, very good. And good, there may be a few flaws. So obviously we've got 8,400 for good, 11,200 for excellent. In my honest opinion, a home restorer with good knowledge can turn out good mechanical work, but it's the paintwork that lets the vehicle down. So even if you turn out a good paint job, not excellent, a good paint job, you're still looking at your 8,400, so you're still making money, which is cool. It's a very good place to be. Let's go and look at category 2. Right, let's talk category 2. As a rule of thumb, to make a category 2 financially viable, finished value, you really want to be 45 to 50,000 pounds up. Now then, the Sunbeam Tiger Mark 1. Project Tigers range between 15 and 20,000 pounds. As with the Mini, a 15 grand car needs a lot more welding and more work and maybe a few bits sourced than a 20 grand car, which is going to be better, but both will need restoring. Now then, an excellent condition Tiger, as per the price guide, £51,500, and Concourse 73,600. Now then, I've not gone through the good because excellent and Concourse only applies on a category 2 because we're having the paint done professionally. Now we'll look at the price of paint and why it makes such a vast difference as we go through it. Because if you have it painted professionally, you can control all the other elements. You can do all your painting, your powder coating, your chroming, all your detailing, but the paintwork, the body shop professionals can make that crisp and perfect, and then you can demand between excellent and concourse money. So you're looking 50 to 70 grand. Obviously with your 15 to 20 grand project purchase price. Now then, paintwork. Paintwork. I have budgeted between 5 and 10,000 pounds for paintwork. This is where the numbers start to stack and it starts to get a little bit scary, but bear with me, it will work out, I promise. Now then, 5 to 10 grand may seem like a lot of money, but we're currently restoring an Austin Healey 104, and trust me, it is possible to spend 10 grand on paint, but it will be flawless and it will be perfect, and it makes the car when it's finished. There's nothing worse than a car in the 40 to 50 plus £1,000 range with poor door gaps and a poor paint finish. So we've got 5 to 10 grand for paint. Engine and gearbox. Now then, full, very high standard restoration. You're going to be rebuilding the engine, but generally, as a rule of thumb, the gearboxes on the Tigers are pretty bulletproof. So I'm banking on that needing maybe a stripping inspection and a rebuild with new gaskets and then a paint up. So then, engine, we've got water pump, oil pump, head gasket set, a full gasket set, some core plugs, new pistons, new rings, conrod bearings, main bearings, cam bearings, a new cam, a clutch, timing chain, lifters, air filter, carb kit, oil filter, air filter, ignition, machining, a rad recore and hoses, and we go on and we go on and we go on. But it will be everything to do a full restoration, so you've got a fresh rebuilt engine and a very good gearbox as well. 2,630 quid. Right, Sunbeam Tiger running gear. I'm going to break this down into brakes, front axle, rear axle, and some consumables. Now then, for the brakes, caliper rebuild kit, front pads, front discs, rear cylinders, rear shoes, servo repair kit, brake hoses, brake pipe set, and brake master cylinder repair kit. Front suspension, top ball joint, bottom ball joint, springs, anti-roll bar bushes, fulcrum pin set, bushes top and bottom, new dampers, wheel bearings, track rod ends, and so on and so on. I've also budgeted for some powder coating, because again, if you're doing a very high standard restoration, whereas on the Mini you'll do like hand paint on your suspension, whereas you can get stuff powder coated on the Tiger because it's worth more money. Righty, rear suspension. We've got New shocks, Panhard bush, full bush set, pinion bearing, outer hub seal, inner axle seal, half shaft bearings, prop UJ, on and on. And I've also included a new wiring loom, and that comes to 2,634 quid. But that does give you majority, if not all, of the running gear restored, brand new, powder coated, and box fresh, if not better than the factory. Interior. This is going to be another expensive one, as I'm sure you've guessed by now. Sunbeam Tigers are not cheap cars, but that's why they're worth good money. I have got a soft top, a carpet set, and then I've put a lot of money into the budget for your chroming, your dash veneer, and maybe bits of interior you might have to source along the way. And I have put in £2,500, which I believe is more than fair to do a full interior on a Sunbeam Tiger. Body panels, another, yep, you guessed it, very expensive aspect of the build. One of the most expensive. The panels for the Tiger are strong money. Now obviously your 15 grand car is going to need a lot more panels, and your 20 grand car is going to need less panels. So maybe it's more financially viable to spend a little bit more on a slightly better car. But for the purpose of this exercise, I have included rear wing repair, a front valance, rear wing front repair, front wing rear repair, some door skins, outer sills, inner sills, outriggers, boot floor, chassis leg covers, front floors and rear floors. Wait for it, £3,000. A lot of money, guys. Strong amount of money. Wheels, tyres and Brightwork. Now I've put £1,000 into the budget for this one, guys. We've gone for re-chroming, a new set of tyres, wheels. You can refurb them yourself. It's the sort of thing that you can generally achieve a decent finish on, but for your £1,000 you may be able to get them refurbed, so £1,000. Now if you take all of those big numbers and add them together, you get an even bigger number. We get to £19,260. Now if we add on our 20% that we'll go over on, because it's inevitable we will, we get to £23,112. Strong money. Let's talk worst case scenarios. 23 grand on bits plus a 15 grand project needing all of that work puts you at 38 grand. Now it's been painted professionally, guys, I can't stress that enough. So you're going to be looking in the excellent to concourse range. So you're looking 51 to 73, you're clearing good money. But also if you go for a 20 grand car that say it needed all of that work plus another 23, you're still at 43 grand, so you're still in the green. Let's go look at category 3. Category 3, the beautiful, the iconic Series 1 drop head coupe, early 3.8 Jaguar E-Type. Now then, for a category 3 rule of thumb, generally a restored car needs to exceed 150 grand, which is out of the reach and realms of normal people. It's only really for people that have got a lot of cash, but you can make it work. Now then, a project E-Type, I'm sure this will be very political as well, generally 60-ish thousand pounds. Again, less would need a lot of work, more would need less work. Restored concourse, we're only looking at concourse, guys, because if a professional company is doing it for you, it will be concourse and nothing else. 200 grand plus, I'm sure that's open to debate as well. Now then, restoration cost, again open to debate, but generally something along those lines can be in excess of 100 grand. So if you bought for 60, put 100 in, you're at 160, you're making money. Even if you bought a good, really much better car for like 80 grand that needed less work and you put 100 grand into it, you're still at 180, you're making more money. Let's look at the pros and cons of a category 3. Pros: less stress and less time, because obviously you're not involved in the build, it's being done for you, nice and easy. Problems can be sorted. Now if they come into issues, I say, look, we need this sorting, that's fine, just get it done. Again, nice and stress free, and you still get a lovely car at the end of it. And also, you only pay when you're happy. You'll go and inspect the car, and if that's not quite right, neither is that. You don't release your funds until you're happy with the job. Cons: price can increase. They may encounter extreme welding difficulties or panel, or they might need to source this and source that. Price can increase. But also, another con is you need to spend a lot of money to make some money. But it is what it is. It's a category 3, and if you don't have the skills to get involved, you can still have a car restored for you that you can call your own, and you can still make it financially viable. So there we go then, we've had a little look into how to make classic car restoration financially viable, and now I'm going to end with giving you a few of my top tips. Number 1, choose your project wisely. Once you've chosen your project and you've committed to it, it's a couple of years of your life that you're going to lose, and if you've chose the wrong one, you only get one choice to choose it right. So be a bit savvy, look around. You don't have to buy the first thing that you see. We're all guilty of it, even me. Now then, number 2, restrain yourself. Mods don't make money. It's very, very tempting to go, I'm going to do this exhaust, I'm going to go this cam, I'm going to do these wheels, I'm going to change this and change that. As a rule of thumb, originality is key. People like to see certain cars out there in period correct condition, and it really does dictate the value. Now, there are certain mods that you can get away with that people like, slightly modernizing things, but again, that leads us on to point number 3, join clubs and use forums. There is a wealth of people out there, guys, that have got bags more experience and are more than happy to give out that information. So, go online and go to meets and get a grasp of what people are doing to their cars and what's making money and what works for you. Because certain mods will cost money, but it will add to the value of the car, and other stuff you could spend a fortune and you're never ever going to see it back. Because at the end of the day, even if you say, I'm keeping my car forever, I'm never going to sell it, there may come a time in your life that you will need to sell your vehicle, and if you've made it financially viable and it's more appealing to a broader audience, then there's a good chance you're going to make some money. And also, guys, the last one, number 4, have fun. If you get too deep into a project and you're giving yourself impossible deadlines and you're putting silly pressure on yourself, it stops being fun. This is a hobby, guys. It's a great hobby. It's fantastic. Build a car on your own, build a car with your friends, your family. I build with my dad. We get to spend hundreds of hours a year together, and you cannot put a price on that. It's fantastic. It really is good fun. And as soon as you stop having fun, take a pause. Why am I not having fun? What do I need to change? Do I need a different vehicle? Do I need to go down a different route? Am I just putting silly pressure on myself? And then come back to it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is, guys. It's a fantastic hobby. Now, I hope this video has been useful, helpful, and maybe given you an insight. And if you only just pick one little gem out of the video that gives you an insight into your next project, or maybe something that you're building at the moment, then it's all to the good, and this video has been well worth it. Before we go, I said I was going to give you a few examples of other cars that meet the financial criteria for category 1 and category 2. Now, for the category 1, being a younger man in my early 30s, I like a modern classic. Now, you've got the Mark 1 MR2, you've got the Mark 1 MX5, you've got early Mazda RX-7s, all great modern cars which are coming into their own now. They're starting to gain in value. They are between the 5 and 10 grand range. And generally stuff from the late 70s, early 80s is really coming into its own. So that's what I would recommend as an alternative to a Mini for a category 1. Now, on a side note, a couple of years ago, if I would have done this video, I would have chosen a Mark 1 Mini. Because Mark 1 Minis, they weren't 10 a penny, but they were, like 5 to 10 grand sort of money. But now they've exploded. But again, it's just an example of how it's an emerging market, and it's a growing market. It's fantastic. It really is a good place to be. Now then, category 2. What other cars suit a category 2? I have chosen a Triumph TR5, A personal favourite of mine, a Daimler Dart, fantastic vehicle, but it is fiberglass, and that means body repairs, and that means strong money on your bodywork, so be mindful on that one. And I've also chose the Austin Healey. I didn't want to choose the Austin Healey 104 as an example because it is the car that we are restoring now, and I didn't want it all to be about what we're doing and what we're restoring. But again guys, if you want to head over to the channel and check out our Austin Healey 104 restoration, I'd never say no. So there we go, an example that would fit category 1 and category 2, and for the category 3 is 150 grand plus. It's strong money cars. You're probably looking at Astons and Ferraris and your Exotica and the sort of thing that doesn't really get documented online and you don't see much of. So I don't want to go into too much detail on that one. But as I say on my videos guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from us, don't forget to subscribe. Have yourself a wonderful week. Take care of yourself, and we will see you soon. See you later.